Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Legend of KORRA Retrospective, Avatar Legend of the Last Retrospective. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Matt Garingo.
That's me, Matt Garingo, the other one.
Yeah. We're here to talk about Book 3 of Legend of KORRA. It's a breath of fresh air, a little bit of a rebirth. There's an Earth Queen here, and our characters are in harm's way. There you go. I hit every episode title that we're here to talk about today for Book 3 change.
Wait a minute. Did I fuck up again? I thought we were doing 5, 4, and 4 or something.
5, 4, and 4. No. It's 5. No, 4, and then 4, and then 5.
I could have sworn you said 5, 4, and 4. I'm not.
This is fantastic.
Look, I'll admit when I fuck up, because I do often. This one I know we fucking said 5, 4, and 4.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
All right,
So,
we can do 5.
Whatever, you get to make the decision, I guess.
Okay. Let's do 5, 4, and 4.
I just assumed we were like, all right, the first 5 episodes, they always kind of like have a lot of like wind up. Like this is like the first 5 episodes are usually like table setting,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, all right, and then they got the 4 and 4. We're doing 5 because I want to talk about Anne Heche.
Okay. All right, fine. And then there's also the metal clan.
Yeah, they're here too.
All right, we're picking up 2 weeks after the events of Book 2, after kind of the biggest event in like Avatar.
Wait a minute, weren't we going to talk about actual events recently?
Oh, I was going to build up to that for a second. Like we were going to jump into it, but I was just teeing up the show.
Oh, okay,
and then going to say we have to.
It felt like you were going. We're already off the rails.
It's complete. It's been a weird start to the year. But yeah, there's some real world Avatar news that we have to talk about, and
recent Avatar news.
Yeah, it's that Avatar Studios is going to be a thing apparently, and it's going to be co-led by the original creators of The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra to help kind of guide an almost like Star Wars style universe of Avatar stories. What that means is anyone's guess, but I guess they've already announced they've already announced that they're doing like an animated movie, I think. Fans are already asking for certain things, but we could get into that. So this is going to be a little longer episode, so we can talk about all this too. But Matt, do you have any thoughts on this like very surprising announcement, quite frankly?
All right, so here's my thing. Do you think this happened? Do you think that this is the reason the Netflix deal kind of fell apart?
I think it's part of it. I don't think it's the reason. From my understanding, it was like a lot of things, and I don't even have a full understanding of that still. But
now, do you actually have insider information? Do you actually have insider information, or do you just have internet rumor?
No. Well, someone said something, but it wasn't an internet rumor. It's just I'm aware that production in particular was it was a very tumultuous relationship.
Okay.
Like I don't have any insight like more than the internet, but I don't have it from the internet, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But I just know that was not going to work out. Apparently.
Okay. It just feels like there was maybe a moment where they went to Netflix and was like, Paramount is giving us a blank check because they're desperate because their other fucking streaming service failed. And so they're going to let us do anything. Now you have to counter that. And then Netflix like didn't counter it, or that they just let it fail,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just weird. And now there's competing Avatar things.
And look, there's never been less of a reason to continue a live action Avatar story than it is now. Like it's so unneeded. Sorry.
I'm still open to the idea of a live action Avatar something, just not a remake of the original series.
Yeah, that's like the one still, and we talked about it before. If you've been listening to us, hopefully you have for this entire Avatar retrospective, but like it's not because of the movie that just doesn't work in any capacity. It's not like we're not scarred from that. It's just, why do you want to see that again?
Yeah, like we got the story.
What point? Yeah, what purpose does that serve? you know?
Mhm.
Like
I've never understood the fan desire for that.
and I guess
And I
some of
feel
the
like
fan
if
desires already really quick. I just want to say are like people are calling for like a adaptation of the Avatar Kyoshi books and comics that I guess are
Mhm.
out right now that you've talked up a little bit.
I've been
More
reading,
adventures,
they're fun. Um,
more adventures with the original Avatar gang, Team Avatar, as they're
mhm.
getting older, or adult stories with them. And like, look, I get the inclination for that. And if this team does do that like willingly, and they're like, yeah, we have an idea for a story like that, then I trust it. I don't trust it when fans say they want it though. I'm like so
Yeah.
poisoned against fan desires at this point in my life that I'm just down for new stories from talented artists and creators that I admire.
Here's I guess here's my two things that here's all I want to see from Avatar in the future. I don't care if it's live action, I don't care if it's a cartoon, whatever's coming. I just hope that A, they get some more women actually working on this thing, which they seem to run into that problem a little bit. And then B, get some actual people of color.
Yeah,
Those are like the only
there's
that's like the low bar I have for it at this point.
yeah, and I mean, this may come as a shock to some people, but they're out there.
Yeah.
You can get them.
And believe it or not, a lot of them are fans of the show.
There's another animated property right now that, at the time of recording, I believe was just released or is about to be released, and it's kind of come under fire for maybe not being really a positive aspect of representation, and just kind of uh, did the thing that the Avatar movie did with them,
Mm.
like, oh, well, these people are from a similar region of the world. They can be interchangeably replaced to represent entire cultures, right? And
What
no,
is this? I don't
don't
even know
do
what you're
that.
talking about.
Raya and the Last Dragon. It's
Oh
supposed to be
yeah.
like a Southeast Asian
Mhm.
story, and then they got like all the voice actors from like Korea, and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
um, like Kelly Marie Tran is like the one.
Mhm.
Everyone else is like Japan and Korea.
Yeah, that's well. They did that with Mulan too, like,
Yeah,
and then they did that with Mulan, and then also threw in Eddie Murphy. Like
hmm this is
it's
a great opening for this episode.
this is perfect. This is exactly what I also wanted to talk about. The Winx Saga.
Why?
Do you know of the Winx show?
Is that's that old animated series, right? From like it's one of
Here's
those ones that they would redub in English,
I think
right?
you know
For
what? I have
American
no fucking
audiences.
idea. I have no
Okay.
idea. I just know of its existence, but they're like fairies on that show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have wings and stuff. Well, Netflix, um, in a co-production with Viacom, released a live action Winx show recently that was
What?
that was retooled into being a teen drama a la the Vampire Diaries, and they took out like all the like fairy shit.
So what is it about?
It's the Vampire Diaries.
Oh,
So if you want a preview of what's possibly coming.
oh. Well,
So
that actually does make a lot of sense because the whole like scanning and shipping aspect of like those older shows.
yeah.
Like, I mean, Netflix is weird because every once in a while they'll have something I really love, but like at
Mhm.
their worst, like the marketing stuff gets really bad and like leans into that weird like subset of the internet culture, right? And so, there
Yeah.
was a report recently that I don't think has been verified, but it definitely made waves that Katara was possibly aged up in the
Yeah.
series. And it's like, oh, how old do they make her? It's like, oh, 15 or 16. That's weird. Zuko is 15 or 16. I wonder what that could be for, if this is true. Like
Hmm.
it's a little raising some questions because Aang's still 12.
Yeah. If what they are doing is that if they are aging up guitar, they're doing Avatar, the Vampire Diaries. Like I'm just that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And they will bend like once an episode. That the action will be very minimal, and most of the stuff will be them standing around in a room being angsty. Also,
I'm
for some
trying to
reason, it'll be set in suburban America.
Are there like any great live action young adult shows like that? Like, you know, the big one, which a little taboo to bring up, but
Yeah,
like
I was
Buffy,
about to say.
like the one that was popular was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that's
Yeah.
probably just better left in the past right now, of all
Mhm.
time specifically. But you know, for a cultural touchstone, that's the one, right?
Yeah.
I think people think about like,
That's the urban fantasy show.
yeah, other than that, like there are fans of certain things. I liked Riverdale at one point. It
Mhm.
lost me because even I have my limits. But like I don't think there's like many good ones out there, right?
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like a teen drama with fantasy elements should kind of be up my alley on some level.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I see previews from them, I'm like, this isn't for me. And that probably makes more sense. So like I haven't seen that many. Like I don't like I'm making fun of the Vampire Diaries a little bit, but I've never watched it. I don't know anything about it really.
Yeah. Oh, you
I'm
know
sure it
what?
has its fans.
I really liked The 100. Not a perfect show,
Oh yeah,
but
I'd heard good things about it.
yeah, when that show like takes off, it's like Lord of the Flies and Game of Thrones, and
Yeah,
so it's kind of awesome. Um, but
that
that, you
sounds
know,
amazing.
yeah, no, there's moments in this show where you're just like, oh shit, this is like really compelling and asking hard hitting questions about like culture wars and like genocide and
Mhm,
what does that do to someone's like life if this is what they're living every day.
mhm.
But yeah, even that, you know, like I can't recommend to everybody. Kind of got to be into CW stuff to get your foot in the door. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I think, you know, they must work for their target audience, which is teenagers, you know?
and
Like
me apparently once in a while. I
well, yeah, you
guess.
know, I'm not sure, but like I think something that like when you grow out of teen shows is just like, oh, I no longer relate to the issues that these characters are going through. Like, you know, which is a big part of being into teen shows.
Mm-hmm. And Euphoria, which is on HBO for some reason.
Oh yeah, is that a teen show? I've never seen it.
Apparently it is. I don't know. I just know Zendaya's in it, and
Hmm.
I like her, but I
How
can't
did
with
All right, now let's talk about the
Diamondback.
5 episodes I pushed you to talk about.
No, it's fine. It's still good. It's still good. Chapter 1, A Breath of Fresh Air. But now we got to talk about the fictional events of the Avatar universe.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
As portions of Republic City are still dealing with spirit vines. Spirits are just hanging around in the middle of the street now. And lo and behold, Boomy is an airbender,
Yeah.
which is a really fun reveal. And then,
It's well, all right. Here's what I think I'll say. This show, it's been a little messy for the first 2 seasons. I think we could both agree on that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Where like they struggle to kind of figure out what they are. You can tell, like to me, it's that like season 1, you could tell was kind of meant to originally be a mini series, and then it turned into a full series. And then 2 is like kind of trying to re-engineer the whole series to actually have an arc to it. You know,
mm-hmm.
season 3 fucking hits the ground running so hard. Like this one, these first 5 episodes are just 100% solid.
It feels like a new show.
A little
Like,
bit, yeah.
like A Breath of Fresh Air. I kind of feel like that was the writer's room, you know?
Maybe, yeah.
Like where they're just like, oh, this is what the show can be now. Like we have all the pieces in place, we have all the characters, we have the world. Like now we can finally like really stretch our creative legs almost. Not that the first 2 seasons weren't creative. I still admire them greatly. But like this one, it's finally like taking its time to like tell the story rather than kind of trying to get pieces in place. Like everything flows
Yeah.
so naturally, like from a moment to moment basis, you know?
Well, if we're talking about like again table setting with like season 1, I honestly feel like season 1's a lot smoother than people give it credit for. I thought season 1 worked for what it was trying to do very well. Not perfect, but I felt it worked fine. Season 2 is definitely like the table setting season, where it's like they have to basically like I mean, Korra literally gets amnesia and then becomes a whole new person, right? Like
Mhm.
that's like the whole show. Like every character kind of gets recharged. They have to engineer a breakup between Korra and Mako. Like they have to set up this whole spirit thing. So it's like, all right, that's what the show's gonna be about. Like, and now it's like once all that like heavy lifting was out of the way with season 2, now it's like, all right, we can actually just go forward with the show.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is that that's been very consistent about this show is like the idea of progress
Mhm.
and like moving forward, the world is going to change whether people like it or not. And
Yeah.
this is kind of the first time the series, I think, has done a job, like a good job of addressing how the individual like citizens of the world are going to start to react to that versus just the main characters. Like it's all like completely balanced here. You know, like there's this great moment where because airbenders are starting to pop up all over the world. And
Yeah.
Korra just sits down to talk to the new one in Republic City, and she's like, "Yeah, like, I don't really know what to do next either, but why don't we go figure it out together?" You know,
That's
like
a
let's
great
just
little
take
moment.
a minute to. Oh, it's a terrific scene. That might be like one of the best ones of this series up to this point, or at least my favorite.
Well,
You know?
again, I like this. This whole episode is almost like what Korra kind of did for all of season 2, but in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like she shows up, she's made this decision that's radically changed the world, and she's like, "Look, I'm trying to get everything back to normal." Like she keeps saying that. Like I'm trying to get everything back to normal. She has an 8% approval rating, which I thought was a funny line, and the president is also like not dealing with it very well. um, and then at the end of it, she's like, "Look, you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. Like the world's changed. I'm here to try to make things smoother, but we're not going back to normal." I feel like maybe some other people could use this message right now.
Yeah, yeah. If you haven't seen Legend of Korra yet, please do it. Um,
I don't know. I don't want to be the guy who's like, they would understand if they watched Legend of Korra, but I'm just saying that it feels weird
yeah, no,
watching Legend of Korra
it's
in
not come and
2020.
see, but you know.
Yeah.
No, I like that the president is just full on like an antagonist at this point too.
Yeah. Well, to
Like,
be fair, it's not like the president isn't like totally wrong, you know? Like I think what's good about it is that he's like, look, no one asked for this.
mhm.
It also says like we didn't ask for this, and she's like, "Well, I'm the Avatar. I made the decision. It happened," and everyone's pissed. And honestly, like I like, yeah, I think her decision is ultimately right, but people do kind of have a right to be angry about it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's the isn't like the running water shut off in half the city because of all the spirit vines,
Oh yeah, yeah. Like one of the reporters asks her about that. Yeah, so that's like
and
a valid like point of discussion at least.
yeah, and
But
also
I say
it's
he's like an antagonist just because like every opportunity he gets in the back half of this, like he's confronting her very publicly to kind of like
yeah.
get the heat off his own back, you know?
Well, you know, it's like, well, you know, because there's actually a good moment where Tenzin's like, "Look, you're not the president. You don't have to give in to public opinion. Like you're the Avatar. You got to follow your instincts. You got to help lead the world into this new age of enlightenment or whatever you want to call it, this new spiritual age." And like, so the president, you know, is like, "Well, I'm getting blamed for this as well, so I'm going to blame the Avatar."
Yeah.
And be like, "Hey guys, I'm mad at the Avatar too, right? I'm one of you. Want to get a beer?" You know, he's trying to be a man of the
Listen here,
people.
Jack.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth that like, you know, politicians don't really believe in anything because they're supposed to believe what the people believe. Like, and it's I don't know, it sets it up so well. And then it's just like this first episode, not to jump ahead too far, but we do all this table setting in this episode, like Cora's like trying to get things back to normal. At the end, she's like, "Look, things are going back to normal. I made the decision. We're gonna live with this now." And everyone's like, "All right, Cora, I think that's the right thing to do." And she's like, "I'm pretty happy with my decision." And then we get introduced to the villain of the series, the season, whose whole thing is like, there shouldn't be someone like the Avatar who makes decisions like that.
Mhm.
And that's a fucking great conflict.
No, it's so good. Like, I think the one thing that the Avatar series as a whole has been so good at is the antagonists are, while being like generally fully defined characters, maybe one or two asterisks here or there for some of the big bads,
Yeah.
but they tend to be like representative of the conflict that the protagonists have to overcome or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be the best one. We'll see how I feel after this discussion for this book, but like he's up there. Zahir's a definite fan favorite for
I will say
Avatar
he's
villains.
easily the scariest motherfucker on the show.
Because like within a minute, he like basically leaves 5 people to die.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where like, you know, when you watch these shows, like, I mean, to be fair, the last season the villain fucking killed God. So like there's kind of like that with that happening, there is a sense that like, wow, Korra can kind of go anywhere as a show. Like if they're gonna go that far to destroy the whole Avatar connection thing, like that's a pretty big shakeup. And so when he's introduced, like honestly, for the first time, I feel like he's a genuine threat to Korra.
Mm-hmm.
Like he feels like the first villain where I'm like, he could actually maybe kill Korra. like deep down, you know, a children's show would never do that, but it's like, man, he's either gonna kill her or just ruin her life.
Yeah, and for those that have seen this show before, you know Matt's not too far off
Hey.
with the danger aspect of this character.
It gets interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But let's catch up with some other characters. So we got Boomies now, an airbender.
Yeah,
Tenzin
Boomy falls off a cliff and almost dies.
Yeah.
Because he knitted a sweater for his spirit friend.
He has his spirit flying bunny Boomju. And then we got the Tenzin, who is like obviously very proud and excited about a new world of possibilities. And I really like the moment with him and his kids where they're like, "Why are you crying?" And he's like, "Oh, I just wish your grandfather was here to see this." And they're like, "Oh, we'll help you," because like it's a big task. And he's like, "Oh, I know you will." And it's a really sweet moment. I really like the family stuff.
Hey, Korra, maybe you can communicate with his past self. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can't do that anymore.
No. But hey, you know what? She's clearly doing all right at the start of this. Because when what's fucking Bolin is like, "Oh, we're not doing that anymore," or whatever. She's like, no, it's a thing of the past now. Sorry.
No, it's great with her just being like, she, you know, I feel like Korra at this point is like finally coming to her own, where like she keeps beating herself up. It's like, I'm the Avatar, I should understand this stuff. And then it's like Tenzin sits down, he's like, look, you're not really here to solve everyone's day-to-day problems. Like your duty is like higher than that. And I think it's again, it's one of those things where like Aang had, to be fair to Aang, he had a very simple mission, which was punch the Fire Lord. Like at the end of the day, that was his goal for that entire show. Whereas Korra's dealing with like all sorts of competing political factions. And also just housing and shit.
Yeah. There's that great moment where we see her like she is more in touch with her calmer spiritual side now. She tries to do that spirit maneuver that her uncle taught her before, you know, the insanity. But like, and then it makes like the vines and the spirits more like active, and she ends up destroying another section of housing in the city and forcing more people out of their houses. And it's like, yeah, we'll probably just leave that alone for a bit.
Yeah, that's probably not the best way to handle. I like that even the spirits like aren't happy, like, which is a good little note. But then like, you know, it's this thing of like, all right, so this is a problem, but then we're getting all these new airbenders, which is, you know, that should objectively be a good thing, right? Like the air nomads were basically wiped out, but now that Korra has done this, there's air nomads everywhere.
Yeah, and also the terrorists.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then it's actually a great cut where it's just like, I can't wait to meet all of these new airbenders that are out there. And then we like, it's like, oh no, the worst guy on earth got the power. Like, yeah. Well, one thing we have to return to the old well, which is Mako sucks.
Oh yeah, no, but he sucks so much because now he's also sleeping beneath his desk at the police station.
Yeah. And what's great now is that it's like he sucks, but now at least he's only hurting himself. So there's definite growth going on.
You know what? That's kind of like what's that Pokemon Slowpoke who like is so stupid it does damage to itself?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of Mako.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because Korra's like, hey, look, you can stay at the island. He's like, no, I can't. I just can't be around you, Korra, because we used to have a thing. And she's like, no, look, I understand it's over. Like, you know, you wouldn't understand, Korra. I gotta be a loner. And she's like, I think I understand pretty well. I was also in a relationship with you. You know, Mako, when you were in a relationship, I was also a part of that. And I got over it. And he's like, no, you just wouldn't get it, Korra.
Oh,
There
you
is
know
a
who's
moment where she gets where Korra's like, all right, I'm leaving to go find the air nomads. That might be the next episode, but and Mako's like, I'm not going. I can't go because I'm Mako. And like everyone kind of bullies him. And he's like, all right, fine, but I have to let Lynn know. And she's gonna be so pissed. I wish there had been like a cut to like the police station of people celebrating that he was gone.
that would make this a perfect season opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been like just like the champagne's just out. He's like, he's no longer sleeping in the office.
No, but speaking of growth, also Bolin is starting to poke more fun at Mako too. Because when they're asking him, like, oh, where, like, you sure he doesn't want to come back? He does like a quick little fold with his hair by running his hand through his head. And he's like, no, I need to be alone. I just sleep in the office.
I need
It's
to
so
be
funny.
serious. Yeah, it's just great. There's another really great moment in this first episode, which is that Korra and Asami finally get a moment together.
Yes, and they're allowed to just be friends. And
Yeah.
the characters are so excited about just being friends and not having conflict.
And
That's
this is one
nice.
where, again, like, you know, we've dunked on creators of things we like listening to the fans a little too much. This might be a moment where creators listen to the fans in the right way. Because people were really upset about the possibility of Korra and Asami being competing characters, you know, in a love triangle. I'm sure you remember the Tumblr discourse.
Oh boy, do I.
Yeah. And it feels like they really did listen here, because instead of like trying to get as much drama out of it as possible, they kind of just go like, look, hey, you know, we both dated Mako. We both kissed Mako when the other person was dating Mako, and we're both over it. Like, it's like they were allowed to be honest with each other and be like, yeah, we were being dumb, but like we can still be friends. Which is like a shockingly rare thing to see.
Yeah, it still feels like really like how many great female relationships, like just friendships, are there in like any media right now? Like any big ones, you know?
I'm sure there's examples out there, but maybe they're just not for things targeted at us.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. There's always stuff out there at the end of the day. But like even think about like Star Wars. There's like one lead female character always, and then that's like it.
Yeah. And
it's
she has no, and also to show that she's strong, she has no friends and no support network. Like,
yeah. Like
that seems to be a recurring thing where it's like, oh, a man wrote this. Like, true wisdom is when we accept things as they are. I think Tenzin said that.
Did he really?
Yeah, he says that in this episode.
Oh, okay.
And then we're introduced to a guy who's trying to overthrow everything.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to one of the funniest moments in the series when Asami's like, oh, here are the car keys. You're the Avatar, master of all the elements. You should learn how to drive. And like immediate cut to slow down. That's the brake. That's the brake.
Didn't she wreck it in the first season?
Yeah.
Like, didn't we like, she's like, don't worry, I parked, and it was like hit like a pole or something. Like,
it was terrific. I don't remember how much more driving she does for the rest of the series, but
that should be more of a recurring element.
Yeah, I mean, just like for comedy alone, if you can get more out of it, great. But
I feel like people might be scared to do a joke like that because like because like all our stereotypes are horrible, and it's like women can't drive, you know. So if you make a joke about a woman who can't drive, but it's like the best thing about fucking Detective Columbo is that he drives a shit car and can't drive. Like, It's like, no, that's what makes them great. It's like you can do that with these characters.
All right, I guess we could move on to the next
Yeah, we can go to the second
one.
episode.
Now their new journey or their new adventure is to go unite all the airbenders and rebuild the air nomad nation.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry Rollins as Zahir is also out there.
Yeah, Henry Rollins. We should point out that Henry Rollins is listening. He's great. Henry
He's also a white man.
yes, there's that. I mean, like
that just keeps happening. Sorry,
yeah.
he's great for what this is. It's great, but come on,
hey,
don't do this again.
What are you gonna do? What do you?
But no, he's already out there by this episode, like reassembling his little like anti-Avatar team, I guess.
Well, it's weird because it's like they're going around trying to get the airbenders and he's getting his like squad back together. It's this great like parallel stories happening. I was gonna quote Bane, but I don't think I'll do that.
no, Zahir's not really a Bane.
Yeah, but yeah, I was thinking of like because they're more initiated than the other people because no one wants to be an air nomad.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that this episode, Chapter 2, Rebirth, like they could have spent like an entire like half season just trying to go to new towns every time.
Yeah.
And like recruiting airbenders and failing or whatever.
This could have been the whole show.
Like, yeah, and they just end up knocking it all out in one episode. And because that's all you need. You just need like the gist of the story, you know?
Yeah.
That like no one really wants to leave. And there's valid reasons for a lot of people not wanting to go with them. It's like the first dude that we meet is like he's a father, he has a farm, he's a beloved
like,
member of the town.
Yeah, I got a family and a life. I can't go become an air nomad.
Yeah, you know, and already they're getting hit with like legitimate problems with, you know, progressing to like a hopeful future. It's like it's not cut and dry. It's just a hard process to kind of navigate through. Well, and you know, no one really saw that coming.
Is terrible.
Like, oh yeah, Tenzin just sucks at being a people person, which is great. Yeah. But so does KORRA, so it's okay.
Well, KORRA tries to kidnap the one kid. He was voiced by fucking John Heder from fucking Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, that is a fantastic bit.
That feels like it was the exact right time where you could cast Napoleon Dynamite as a Napoleon Dynamite type.
Yeah.
Oh, like if you had done it like 2 years earlier, it would have been too early.
Yeah, John Heder deserved a bigger career, but I guess once you're Napoleon Dynamite, that kind of narrows down your choices.
Isn't he a Mormon?
Is he?
Aren't all the people that were like involved in Napoleon Dynamite Mormons?
Oh, I have no idea.
Like I think it was like kind of like a Brigham Young University like group.
Oh, I did not know that.
I could be completely wrong.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure he's Mormon, but I don't know about. I thought a lot of the people involved were Mormons.
Huh.
It's like that, which, you know, I'm not even here to like dunk on Mormonism. It's just like there's like a weird like Mormon subculture in this country, and they have like their own science fiction, their own fantasy, and their own like brand of comedy. Like,
what?
They really do, yeah. Like there's like they have a comedy school like at Brigham Young University.
Oh, wow, I'm learning so much today.
And it's this weird, like it's a mixture of like wholesome humor, but also like incredibly strange and off the wall humor. And I feel like maybe like once these guys like, because they all tried to like make it bigger in Hollywood and it didn't really work. And I feel like maybe they just didn't mesh with like the Hollywood machine.
Huh. Well, all I know is that the director of Napoleon Dynamite is supposed to do Shanghai Dawn, the third and final installment in the Shanghai trilogy.
Wow, we're all begging for that.
I like those two.
But has anyone won another one?
Probably not. Aaron Taylor Johnson's in the second one.
Oh boy,
he plays Charlie Chaplin.
Great.
I'm not going to say it holds up. I'm just saying. Those early 2000s comedies, you know, kind of had to be there.
Roger Ebert gave Napoleon Dynamite 1.5 stars. The movie makes no attempt to make Napoleon likable. It contained a kind of studied stupidity that sometimes passes as humor.
Sorry, Ebert. Gotta disagree with you on that one.
Napoleon Dynamite was such a weird, like, flash in the pan thing, though. Like,
No, yeah, like I love Napoleon Dynamite, but like you can't ever do that again. You know,
saying you love Napoleon Dynamite though kind of feels like if you go like, I love The Big Lebowski. You know, where it's like
oh,
there's a lot
there's
of
that.
baggage to that term.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's like I worship the dude and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I just
Oh,
think
yeah,
The Big
yeah.
Lebowski's a very funny movie. And it's like, yeah, you know.
No, totally, totally. It's like if you have a poster of Napoleon Dynamite, The Dark Knight, Pulp Fiction, and The Big Lebowski up in your college dorm, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hang out with you just on principle because of what like surrounds those films.
I'm gonna ask some very pointed questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will not judge you immediately, but I'm gonna ask questions.
I'm just gonna play the field for a second here.
My fucking 7th grade English teacher had a Napoleon Dynamite poster.
What?
I have no idea why. He responded very strongly to that film.
I guess so.
Vote for Pedro. Everyone had that shirt, remember?
I do remember. I probably still have mine somewhere.
Mine, I think mine like got ripped, and that's why I don't have it anymore. But
probably for the best.
I had it until high school. So, oh boy.
But there's no voting for Pedro, and there's no voting for anybody in the Earth Kingdom because it's still a kingdom. It's
we haven't
still a
gotten to the Earth
monarchy.
Kingdom just yet. I just want to talk about the other people as the year's breaking out.
Oh yeah. Well, that's is that the Earth Kingdom? No,
not yet.
No, he's in the Earth Kingdom, and then the other ones are like in the ocean and the Fire Nation.
Yeah, well, because they all have like cages that are specifically built for them, which is like another great way of just setting up that these people are like unstoppable killing machines.
Yeah, so we got the first one we come across is an Earthbender named Gazan, voiced by Peter Giles. I don't know who that is, but he's in the middle of the ocean, and he can melt like Earth.
Yes,
he's like a lava bender, and he creates like this cool little like spherical like predator blade. I know there's like an actual term for that, but I don't know what it is. So I'm sorry. It looks like a thing the Predator has, but like just on a fundamental level, these villains are just kind of badass.
No, it's great, you know? And it's just like we set all these characters up in like 3 episodes. Like it's like you get their whole deal. Like we don't know what they're after, but it's like you totally buy them as intimidating, which is what you kind of need to sell this early on.
And that they have a deep like belief. We don't know what it is yet, but when Gazan asks to hear like, well, like what's up with the earthbending, he thinks it's bestowed upon him because their mission is like a righteous path, you know?
It's like, I believe this is a sign that I got airbending because our mission is righteous.
Yeah, and that's like, oh, that's a scary thought.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
Because that's like, the last 2 guys were also very righteous.
Uh-huh. And you know, like when you have something like that bestowed upon you from like the spirits, why wouldn't you believe that? You know, that's a scary like possibility and a scary counterpoint to Korra's journey.
It's almost like if you keep talking about how America is a sinful nation and then do everything possible to help make the country collapse, and then the country starts collapsing, you're going to think the country's being punished for being sinful.
I guess, yeah.
Shout out to the governor of Texas.
Oh, boy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Good luck, Texans.
Yeah.
You're going to need it. Sorry.
I wish there was something better to say.
Yeah. That's just a downer. Fuck
hey, Otto came by.
Thank you, Otto.
Otto, what's happening? You can't sit with me. I'm recording.
We also meet the armless waterbender, Minghua, an armless waterbender.
which is just great.
It's so cool. Like there's just these little things they add to give the characters more dimension,
Mhm.
because like truthfully, we don't get to know this crew that well. Like
Yeah.
there's not that much going on beneath the surface, but there's also something intimidating about that because it's like, oh, they have nothing else. This mission is like what their life is.
Mhm.
That's a
Well, not to
that's a
jump
little
ahead too much,
different.
but I almost read them as like they're an inverse team Avatar.
Oh no, totally. That's totally
Like,
what they are.
yeah, I like they went on their own team Avatar mission and failed. This is like what we're watching right now is, let's say, like fucking Avatar Last Airbender went a different direction and Aang lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone ended up in prison. And then they were in
Oh my
prison
god.
and then they were in prison for 20 years, and then they finally get that moment where they can all break out, right? Like this would be the triumphant moment for everyone. But instead they're the villains.
Yeah, instead of the Fire Nation, it's the White Lotus.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they all check the boxes of like they also have like a very similar dynamic to like Team Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Where like they even like have them making like jokes at each other occasionally. About
Yeah, they're
like
like
when
a
like
little family unit, but
yeah, exactly. And again, it's like they are a Team Avatar that lost. And it's this weird thing where it's like the show, like very much, I think more than any other villains, kind of gets you to see where they're coming from more than anyone else. But they're also the most intimidating because their like goal from the outset is we're gonna kill the Avatar.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discussions we've had about like this weird pop culture trend where it's like, well, the villains have a point, and
Mhm.
this season actually is like one of the times where you actually get like a justifiable reasoning for that kind of storytelling
Yeah.
rather than just the villain saying something that kind of makes sense and then they still do like horrible things
Yeah.
that are disconnected from that, like their mission and their villainy is tied into the narrative in a way that's more like thematically important than
Well, it's so
just
weird when we try to
bullshit.
make villains understandable, where they're like the villain's motive will be like, actually, I was just trying to end world hunger, and that's why I murdered children with my bare hands. And it's like, wait a minute, like, that's those two things don't really fit. And then these guys are like, we think what we're doing is right, and we've come to the conclusion that killing the Avatar is the right thing to do. And it's like, you're like, I'm not, because we all like Korra at this point. So we're naturally invested to not see her die. But I don't know, it just finds a better balance than I think a lot of other things normally do in terms of the writing, I guess. But again, I just, the in terms of just visual storytelling, you just get the whole, they don't need to talk a ton to get everything,
Mm-hmm.
just the way they act together. It's like, this is a fucking group that has just been waiting for this moment. They are friends and also like cult-like figures. And it's great. Also, Gray Delise is back as Minghua.
Yeah. Really not as fun of a performance because the character is just not like the same type of character. But
Mhm. But it's
yeah,
nice.
she's
It's
terrific.
nice for her to be back.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
good
kind of
stuff.
like what's his name came back in season 1.
Oh, Dante Bosco.
Yeah, it's a little similar to that. Another character that just disappeared at some point.
Oh, well, no, he wasn't in the last season for like
He
an
was, but
episode or two.
very little.
Yeah.
Again,
And
he felt like a
hey.
character where they didn't totally know what to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, what are you gonna do? We don't need him. We have enough characters.
Yeah, he's there if he ever wants to come back or if they ever have something for him to do, and you don't need. He's not big enough for you to need him. There you go. So.
But speaking of returns, we also get the return of Zuko
Oh yeah.
at the very end of this episode, voiced by fucking Bruce Davison.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Fucking Look, he does a good job. Weird choice.
Yeah, not where I'd go. I had my pick of the litter. Ken Watanabe, honestly.
That's a pretty good choice, yeah.
Yeah. But no, Bruce Davison. Yeah, that's bizarre. What I'd like to know the history behind that, quite frankly.
Was he like walking by the studio?
Oh, Bruce, it's me,
Bruce,
the creator of Avatar.
Come in here. Just read these lines. Like, what is it? It doesn't matter. Just fucking read it.
Yeah, no, there's like a history character performance there, but like, yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
I think
it's only weird because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
The story and the character appearance itself completely works.
Mm.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's an odd choice. I won't downplay that.
But I like seeing Zuko again.
Yeah.
Also, was pretty sure he was dead up to this point, but hey, what do I know?
This is a thing. I will say I'm a little annoyed with this, just on but again, one thing that is the Avatar lore kind of justifies it if you give a shit, which is that Aang dies at a young age compared to a lot of other avatars, which is a very sad detail to add to your children's franchise. So it makes a little more sense that like the other characters are still alive in this world. But yeah, I'm a little annoyed that we kind of get a few of these. Look who's still around in the final seasons.
Yeah, I will say, for this season in particular, that it actually does make sense. With the context of all that being said, now that Korra is out, like fully being the avatar for the entire world, she's no longer just located in Republic City anymore. She's out fulfilling her avatar mission to protect and like rebuild the society. That now the rest of the world has to kind of support her in a way, So I just thought it tracks a little bit better here than
good thing she's
maybe
made
some
a ton
other
of friends.
She's working on it.
Speaking of friends, the next episode is the Earth Queen.
Wait, no. They also recruit a little kid named Kai, who is also kind of Aladdin.
Kai. That's my fault. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I like this kid. He's a little asshole, and
what
I
if
like
he just
that.
Did the song, the introduction song from Aladdin?
I mean, that kind of covers the same beats.
One jump
like
ahead
that
of
we
the
need.
bread line.
Yeah. He's a little bit more of an asshole though, because he's like, no, wait, I was an asshole kid, but I got airbending and now I'm good now. Just trust me on this.
I'm gonna keep mugging people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels between Legend of Korra and Aladdin, because Aladdin's another animated thing where the characters are all people of color and most of them are voiced by white motherfuckers.
Yeah, what the fuck? We need to fix this problem like yesterday.
They need Gilbert in Legend of Korra.
He should have been
trying to save the chump avatar.
He should have been the that library spirit.
Oh my god. I just don't believe it. Like, he's coming. Don't let the fact that my library's hidden dissuade you from coming to my library.
But I like Kai, and I like that immediately Bolin is like, oh, I have a little brother now. And Mako is like, I know this bullshit because I was this bullshit. So there's like a fun dynamic there. Like all the new like character arrangements are really exciting.
Yeah.
And then also Jinora obviously has like huge crush on the new boy. So that's cute.
Yeah,
cute kid stuff.
Cute kid stuff. She's been stuck on that fucking island forever.
I know. It's like,
no wonder her only friends were fucking spirit animals.
I know. But this is why this season's good for everyone, because they all need to stretch their legs and spend more time outside making new friends.
Exactly. That's the lesson. Go outside, kids.
And then not right now though. At the time of recording, they're still in.
Yeah. Things are not great right now.
Yeah. Also not great is the Earth Queen. So after failing to recruit any other airbenders except for a thief child, which Tenzin I think rightfully brings up as like a concern. He's like, is this what I really want, like, for the new airbenders? Like, this is what we got so far? But KORRA is right. She says that, like, he's just a kid and needs some guidance, and isn't that what they're there to do, right? For the world, for the new airbenders.
We did brush over Bolin's little show they put on.
Oh yeah, that's tons of fun.
Oh, look at these powerful airbenders.
Yeah, KORRA and Tenzin fail miserably to get people interested in Bolin's like, everyone just have fun. So see, my point stands. This season is about everyone needing to have more fun.
It's great to just see Tenzin and KORRA fail together.
Yeah.
As opposed, because they're usually at each other's throats, it's better to see them like trying to work together and both fail.
Yeah, I think these 2 episodes are like the longest stretch of them not like fighting each other.
Yeah.
They're just finally like
that much at all in like these first few episodes. I can't think of like a big moment, like other than, like, I don't being slightly annoyed with each other.
Yeah, no, it's just like familial disagreements, honestly. Like now they're totally like in tandem.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's growth right there.
KORRA tries some tough love, and she took a page out of Avatar Kyoshi's book and tried to kidnap a guy. But you know what? She's worried about not being able to contact her past self. She's clearly in contact with Kyoshi.
Maybe Kyoshi could have helped with the Earth Queen, because the Earth Queen's she's something, all right.
Yeah.
A butthole.
It's great. Well, it's great to see that, like, Ba Sing Se has declined in the intervening time. And it's done like there's some very obvious ones where it's like, oh my God, look how gross and smelly the city is and all the foods. Like, 'cause this used to be like the great city in the other show. And now it's like, now that no one really needs to live there. And there's this great other city nearby. In fact, there's 2 other cities, but we'll get to that other one later. I don't know how to put it. It's just there's like obvious signs that the city has kind of fallen apart. But then there's stuff like, remember how the monorail used to work on the old show, like the train, like where it was just pushed by earthbenders?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just like an electric monorail.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the city's kind of like lost its importance.
Yeah,
we brought place called.
Oh shoot, Omashu.
Yeah, do we ever see Omashu again? I don't think so.
I don't think we do. No, that would have been interesting to revisit with similar context. Like, how did it like improve or get worse? Because
exactly.
We had a discussion about like Ba Sing Se's like a thematic politics, I guess, in the last Airbender retrospective, and I think it's very like pointed how they wrapped up the Ba Sing Se stuff in that show and how they continue it here. Like, I don't think any of this stuff was a mistake.
Yeah.
As like a tiered city, like the lower ring has completely just become like what's that place in downtown LA? Skid Row.
Yeah.
Where it's
Otto,
like
Jesus. Otto.
But there was our
buddy.
beloved mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, was like, Skid Row is smaller than it's ever been. It's like, yeah, but homelessness is higher than it's ever been, you fucking asshole.
Smaller.
Like
small means good.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a similar vibe here, because even like the rest of Team Avatar here, they're flying over in Asami Zeppelin. It's like, ew, that place is gross. We don't want to go there. Oh, thank God. Look at the rest of the city. Look how nice it is. And it's like, but that doesn't solve anything. There's clearly a problem here that needs to be addressed. And I think one of the strengths of these early episodes too is like, we're 3 episodes in and we've already recontextualized the world of this individual series, the world of the last Avatar series, and the world about to come in the rest of the series.
Yeah.
That's nuts. But the Earth Queen's a piece of shit, much like Eric Garcetti. She is completely the opposite of the Earth King. And I think this is part of like
You're something.
More like,
that I don't
It's
understand about the world today.
what?
How these liberal politicians keep getting popular outside of their cities, even though they're hated within their own cities.
Well, I don't know if I have an answer to that, but I do have an answer for why these liberal shitheads are liberal in the first place. It's because they can't call themselves conservatives because conservatives are not in vogue anymore. That's kind of it. I don't
I
have an
guess that
answer
makes
for
sense,
anything else.
but I mean, but these guys, I mean, I'm thinking more because I'm from New York, so we've had Cuomo problems for a while.
Oh yeah,
Which hopefully by the time this is out, he has left office.
that would be great. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's taken this long, and it's very unfortunate about the circumstances leading to it.
Yeah.
But fuck him.
Well, it's a little frustrating that you can kill tons of old folks, and then
Yeah,
and that's not why you leave office.
yeah, but he
But I'm
was
saying
dunking
one
on
thing
Donald
is,
Trump. So
yeah, and his brothers, they were funny when they fought on TV, remember?
yeah, and hey, look, you know
Everyone,
what? I'm only human. That is a little charming. That doesn't give him a pass for anything.
yeah.
You know,
It's
sorry.
just one of those reminders why you shouldn't stand politicians.
Yeah, don't
You know,
stand anyone. People are
yeah.
more complicated than just like fictional characters. You
I
know.
stand my friends and family.
Okay.
I support them in their endeavors.
Yeah, well, that is like different though. You know.
Yeah, I just, I understand like you get there's some people who are like, I'm gonna go to bat for that person whenever, right? Like I understand that's like a human thing to do. Like, but never with politicians, just never. Like there's no reason.
Yeah, refer to them as your employee, if anything.
Exactly.
They're the one employee on the planet
And
that can be abused.
and again, no, I wouldn't go
No,
that
no,
far. I
I'm gonna
mean,
get that one.
no,
That's
totally leave it in because I mean, you're kind of right. I believe we should be mean to these people, but it's also something where it's. But really, what we should do is fire these people when they don't do their job.
yeah.
That's really what we should be doing.
Still don't have the 2000.
Yeah,
It's our money. What are you
yeah,
doing with it? You
yeah.
know?
We're gonna put it in this weird nebulous spending bill, and then somehow it's all gonna end up in the hands of the already rich people. How does this keep happening? The lesson is politicians were never going to get us out of the problem we're in.
No,
So
no.
organize and get ready
Yeah.
because there's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne.
No.
We should bring back throwing pies at politicians.
Oh yeah, I'm down for
Like
that.
that's a very easy thing to do.
Yeah, and you know what? It's violence, but you can't kill anyone with it, and
Yeah.
it's not a deadly weapon. So
And if you do, you should almost get praised.
for killing someone with a pie,
Yeah, like that took some skill.
I guess. Yeah. Oh my god, I think doesn't one of the henchmen die in The Long Kiss Goodnight from getting hit in the face with a pie?
Oh yeah, I think something
That when
like
he
that
breaks into her
happened.
house, right?
Yeah.
Or at least like knocks him out or something. What a
What a
great film.
strange film.
Oh, God, it's a great film.
I like that movie.
Yeah, the Earth Queen's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And
Treats the
she is,
servants bad. It's
yeah,
almost like she's an outdated form of government.
yeah. And I think that's why, like, this is more like the insightful political commentary the show kind of delves into, where it's like, yeah, this like doesn't need to exist anymore. Like,
Yeah.
look at how poorly everything else is around her, except for like her one region of the city, you know, like everything else is just miserable. And as we'll see, even those people that whose life she's making miserable tend to still like view her as like a positive figure because that's all they know. Much like Mako and Bolin's grandmother, who they meet.
Because they chase after the kid, Kai, who robs them and is robbing
Yeah.
people, and they get stranded, and then they kind of pick a fight with a guy, but not
Well, because
really.
they're like, oh, look, we're stuck. We're gonna have to live off the streets like we used to until we can get back to the upper ring because we were chasing Kai. Maybe we should try to steal fruit again. And Mako's like, we can't do that anymore because I'm Mako.
Yeah,
And then
Mako
Valen's like,
suck.
well, we could try this. And like the food's all rotten. And so the fruit vendor's like, you guys thinking of stealing my food? You better watch out. And they're like, no, it's rotten. It's gross. It's so
Oh
stupid.
yeah, yeah, it's a really dumb scene. But then it turns out they're related, which is even dumber. But it's
Yeah, but I
great.
mean, yeah, yeah, no, this all of this is so good because like it just so like flows effortlessly from like scene to scene and like character revelation and character evolution, you know. And like
Yeah,
Bolin was originally like messing with Mako. Like, imagine we meet our grandmother on this trip. Like, that would be crazy. And then like actually happens. The rest of the family that they meet in this episode didn't know that their parents were killed. And that's actually like a really harsh like realization they all come to together. Like, imagine
yeah,
not knowing that for
that's a
that long.
very fucked up moment.
Yeah. But it's very sweet to see like this family like bond kind of unite them in that way, you know. And Mako moves on from his iconic red scarf
Yeah,
and he
you know,
gives
we
it to
all
his grandma.
the first thing we think about when we think about Mako is his red scarf. Oh, Mako. That's a
Well, you
touching
know,
moment.
it's
Mako
yeah,
is growing, which is nice to see.
yeah, the people are really starting to change, and of course that is the subtitle for this book,
Yeah.
change.
Here's the thing, like Bolin is set up to be like the Sokka of the series, you know,
Hmm.
but it's really Mako.
I don't know, I think maybe they're split, like they're both kind of Sokka if he was split into two separate people.
Possibly. There might be other parallels to that coming up.
Mm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. To get the Earth Queen's assistants to look for new airbenders, she has to basically go and become like, what would you call that? A bookie for the Earth Queen?
Yeah, it's weird. She's got to collect taxes. It's one of those things where it's a little bit like a dumb Korra moment where it's shady from like the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Like Korra maybe should have seen that one coming, but yeah.
Look, Korra is a fantastic character, and she has grown tremendously over the course of these last couple months. She's also a little bit of an airhead once in a while.
She thinks with her fists
Yeah, you
as
know, as
opposed
big as her knuckles are,
yeah.
you know, it can only fit so much brain in there, I guess. I don't know.
She's
But
honestly a little bit like how I wish maybe like a Superman was characterized, you know?
no.
A little bit. Like she kind of is hitting all the like Superman beats that I've always wanted to see in a movie that they never do.
I see Superman as more of an Aang type thing, but maybe
I
that's
guess, but I think there's a thing of like Superman where it's that thing of like if all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, you know? Like
I see what you're saying for sure.
but Superman's first instinct is to punch everything. Like
Yeah. So you got to give them problems that they can't punch.
yeah, exactly. And like he figures it out at some point, so does Korra.
Hmm.
Unless you just make your movie about punching.
But hey, look, sometimes it's nice to watch someone get punched in the face real good.
Sometimes it's good for maybe 10 minutes. And even that's stretching it. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, all right. Speaking of problems, the
But I
Dai are
could
still in
see
town.
was it remember Superman when he got tricked into fighting wars for in South America for Ronald Reagan?
Are you talking about Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, see? So there's very Korra parallels.
You know what? um, hang on. Huh. I guess Frank the Tank. I don't know. I've seen him so conservative, you know,
Yeah.
like for so long that I don't know. But maybe there's like a connection there. Yeah.
Yeah, Frank
Huh.
9/11 kind of broke him, but
Oh yeah, yeah. Like there's no coming back from that. But like, huh. Like not to get too off topic on this show, but like I guess his Dark Knight 3 is supposed to be more like almost like an apology for his conservatism. I haven't read it, so this is just what I've heard. And that I guess the last one, Dark Knight for the Golden Child, is supposed to be like
there's a
about a
fourth one.
yeah, like it just came out, I guess, and it's supposed to be about like a the Robin who just became Batman as like an anarchist against an oppressive system. So I don't know. Maybe there's more going on in the last couple of years, but that does not absolve him of his shit like Holy Terror, which is
Yeah.
wow.
Also, wasn't Dark Knight 3 like co-written with someone?
Oh yeah, was it Grant Morrison?
No, it wasn't Grant Morrison, but
Who was it? Hang on. I'm
I
curious
might
now.
have actually read it if it was Grant Morrison.
Oh, Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. Not a great title.
Yeah, that's a title that goes like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, Brian Azzarello.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah. So maybe like they just because here's something, and I'm not embarrassed to admit this. I've read The Dark Knight Strikes Again like 3 times. I don't know what the
Okay,
fuck's happening in that comic.
but you like it.
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't dislike it because I don't know what's happening. And I've read like other people's breakdowns of it, and I'm like, that's interesting, I guess, but I don't see it when I read the comic. Like, The Dark Knight Returns is like a genuinely great comic, even if Frank Miller is like crazy conservative. Like, it's still a really good comic. It's kind of the like John Milius problem sometimes,
hmm
where it's like,
Well,
fuck,
like,
he actually knows what he's doing. Frank Miller just at some point also completely forgot how to tell a story.
mm. Well, I think part of like my like issues with Dark Knight Returns for like a long time was just that we're kind of grew up in that era where everything needed to be Killing Joke, Dark Knight Returns, and like
Yeah.
everything had to go for that. Like we need to be that for the next generation, and you end up just like with diminishing returns of like lesser stories,
Yeah.
and so that got exhausting. And so I was like, I don't need that anymore. But
Mhm.
like revisiting it, like from a conversation recently I had, I was like, no, Dark Knight Returns is still the shit. Like
Yeah.
it's like a great book.
It's great. It's just that everyone that's like lifted from it didn't actually kind of do what that comic was doing, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of a radical comic too.
Yeah.
Like it's very again for someone who's very conservative, pretty anti-authoritarian.
Yeah.
Which is like maybe not Frank Miller as a person, but
But it's also like Batman firing a machine gun and like killing people and there's so much crazy shit in that comic.
yeah,
And
right. Like it gets like all this credit for being like this dark, gritty reinterpretation, but it's also insane.
he gets in a fist fight with mutants.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's that whole nerd debate about like would Batman beat Superman if there was enough prep time? Like, no, just look at that subject matter. Batman fighting Superman. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
like a
here's one.
huge nerd thing. And it's in the middle of
Yeah.
this like world-renowned comic book.
Also, I think one thing that makes Dark Knight Returns brilliant and someone who maybe just lifted images from it without really thinking about it for his fight with Batman versus Superman. That fight is like maybe 2-3 pages. It's like over real quick, which is one of the things I really like about it.
I don't know. I think if you did a movie adaptation of it, it could still be pretty good.
I think you could do a series. I think Dark Knight Returns is one of those things where like you could make a TV series out of that.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard that before.
I really think that. Because there's also because I will say like all the sequels, from like which I didn't understand Dark Knight Strikes Again. I've just read a little bit about the Master Race. There's a lot of material there that like you could make into a TV series. And it's just honestly like really good idea of like, Frank Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen is like this 1-2 punch of like actually superheroes are kind of bad,
Mhm.
And Dark Knight Returns just does it with DC's actual universe, where it's like at some point this is all going to end very badly, like
Mhm.
all this idealism that Batman and characters like Batman and Superman start with, it it doesn't end well, and that's a really interesting story, and it's also not a very commercial one. So, and you can see people have tried to tell that story with mixed success, I will say. Well, that's why I think the next Avatar series, if there is one, should be post-apocalypse Avatar.
It's post-apocalypse and then sci-fi future, right? I think that's what we
Yeah.
stumbled upon.
Well, the one I was like, I want like Mad Max Avatar, and then I want like Ray Gun Punk Avatar, where
Okay,
they go to space. No
I could
idea
roll
how
with
that
that.
works. But I've been rewatching Dragon Ball Z, and it turns out you could just make shit up. Because that's a
Is Dragon
universe.
Ball Z like good, or is it like it was on in the 90s good?
Yes.
Okay.
It's weird. I've been rewatching it because I'm at that point in quarantine. And the one, what was I gonna say? There's literally an episode where they're in the middle of a fight and Vegeta just goes, "Wait, I think Goku's gonna be here in like an hour. So let's just wait for an hour."
Oh
And
my
in the whole
god.
episode, everyone just stands around waiting. And it's a lot of that. I was like, I was rewatching it that they drag those fucking fights out so long. To the point where I honestly believe you could watch every other episode of Dragon Ball Z and still get what's going on.
Really?
I think so. There's another version. There's like Dragon Ball Z Kai, which I have not watched, so I can't speak to the quality of it, but it's like a re-edited version of the show that makes like that kind of fixes some of the pacing problems. Um, but I don't know how well the editing was actually done, so I don't know if it improves things. So much like Goku.
No. Speaking of Kai, um,
Vegeta straight up like massacres an entire planet of people and then becomes a good guy.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, what a series.
It's a interesting show. Korra
Speaking
doesn't
of
do that.
interesting,
What episode are we
yeah,
on? We're still on
we're
3.
on the Earth Queen. We're gonna wrap up on the Earth Queen really quick. So Zuko, when he goes up to the North Pole, he reunites with Eska and Desna,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's their names. And then Korra's father, Tonrok. And they all visit Zahir's last imprisoned comrade, Pali, who is a firebender. And we won't find it out till the next episode, but she gets to do the old Sparky Boom Man trick and
He does
combustion
say
bend.
he does say that he hired someone with similar powers to kill the Avatar.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind. That
To
is this
admit to
episode then.
doing that. And then it was like, didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, for stuff
Although,
like that, I'll just put the clip in, but like, yeah, it's pretty great.
whenever they say Tonrock, though, I just think like Tonrock and Gelada Tanagra. Like,
What?
you don't know that
No,
from Star Trek?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember the Darmok episode?
No.
Oh my god, it's a great. You should watch. You should, as soon as this is over, you should watch that.
Okay.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
I'm trusting you on this.
I can't believe if you haven't seen that episode, you are in for a fucking treat.
Don Rock. How do you spell it? Don Rock.
No, well, Darmok.
Oh,
So,
Darmok.
yeah, the episode's called Darmok. And the guy just keeps saying Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Darmok. Oh, okay. Yeah. With the red lizard man.
Yeah, and then, like, you remember that episode?
Remember the guy?
You should rewatch it.
Okay.
Shaka when the walls fell.
Oh my god. We got that set up, and Kai gets imprisoned with the other secret army of Earth airbenders beneath the Earth Queen's palace.
We got a very obvious callback with there are no airbenders in Ba Sing Se.
Yeah. Some things never change, even though they should, is kind of the message of this episode. All right, and then we're on to chapter 4, Harm's Way. And we get to see the rest of Zahir's team free Pali from her prison, and she gets to combustion bend all over the place.
She breaks out because everyone in the Avatar universe is bad at their job.
Kind of. But to be fair, none of these people have ever fought an airbender before. Excuse me. I keep saying
What's
Earth.
the combustion girl's name again?
Pali.
Pali. And she reunites with what's his name, and they kiss, and it's very romantic, I guess.
Zahir. Yeah, I mean, romantic for them, not really for like anybody else, because
it'd be a shame if their story ended in horrific violence.
Oh my god. But this is the big rescue mission episode, and it kind of feels like it's almost a mini season, like in these 4 episodes. The Earth Queen's kind of the antagonist for these, like beginning stuff, and that's kind of neat. And we just get a bunch of like this is like an action heavy episode, so there's not like a lot to talk about there. But Lin Beifong also arrives to tell Korra that like, hey, this dude who's been trying to kill you your whole life is coming after you again to try to kill you. So I'm here to protect you and to warn you about that.
And Zuko literally says in the last episode that if these 4 people get together, they're powerful enough that they could destroy the entire world.
Yeah. It's concerning. Everyone's concerned. And Korra's like, I'm kind of busy at the moment.
You know what would have taken care of this problem?
A gun?
Yeah, if Avatar Aang maybe killed them.
No, remember he couldn't though.
Yeah, hey.
Aang was already dead. So
Sokka's got that boomerang though.
I wonder if Sokka was still alive.
Hey.
I don't know. Only Sokka and Aang are gone. So I guess Suki, we never see her. So
yeah, she deserved a little more.
Yeah,
there's a lot of characters on Avatar that kind of deserved more.
Well, you know what? I don't know about deserve. It would have been nice to hear about them or see them, but I also don't. I don't think it's like lesser for not having them mentioned. You know what I mean?
It should have ended like Animal House, where like they wrote underneath everyone what they did afterwards.
Sokka.
Boomy, whereabouts unknown. King Boomy, whereabouts unknown. This is kind of just like a very solid, like action heavy episode.
Yeah. Oh, and the Earth Queen basically like goes to war against Korra. Like, she's never allowed to go back to Ba Sing Se, which is kind of like I get why these early episodes do this, but it's also like, man, Korra literally doesn't fit in anywhere. She left home. She was exiled from Republic City, and now she's going to be chased by the ruler of the entire Earth Kingdom. Like, that's not a great.
What's funny about it is that like no one takes the Earth Queen seriously.
Oh no, I mean that's like good, but it's like it's kind of like this issue that starts bubbling up almost, and I don't think it's dropped, quite frankly, but we'll get there eventually.
Okay, we will see.
Yeah, it contributes to a bigger point, but that comes later. But yeah, not a lot going on like in a huge sense in this episode, but it is neat to see that Korra and Tenzin start coming to terms with like the kind of people that are going to be in the air nomads now.
You're telling me like, Aang couldn't put pressure on the the Earth King to get rid of the Dai Li?
Yeah, maybe he could have.
Aang had a great heart and a head.
Maybe it's one of those things that just after Aang was gone, maybe they reinstated it,
Yes, it's the Simpsons joke about the Soviet Union. Like, Soviet Union, we thought you guys broke up. It's like, that's what we wanted you to think.
Maybe. I don't know.
Pushes the button and like all the shit turns back into the Soviet Union.
I don't know. It's almost like they're too intrinsically tied to the monarchy and the Earth Kingdom, and so like you couldn't get rid of them if you didn't get rid of the monarchy. And it's more believable that Aang wouldn't see that as the problem than just the Dai Li.
And I will say, I think I talked about the the Earth Queen brings up that like land was taken from the Earth Kingdom to build Republic City, and that is a big part of the Avatar: Last Airbender comics that I've been reading.
Mhm.
So it's interesting how they tied that in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not forgotten about for this series. So
Yeah.
more on that in the future. But again, I just want to mention that I really like how they started to grow the air nomad culture, because it's like these are all just kind of refugees and prisoners of
Yeah.
political prisoners, you know.
You can either come
And
with
this is
us or
like,
stay in this dirt poor city.
and so naturally they go with them, but they do give him the option. And you know, like the circumstances are a little wonky, but I like that Korra and Tenzin are at peace enough now to be like, look, at some point it comes down to the individual's choice. We can't
Yeah.
force you to do anything, even if they're being chased by warmongering Earth
It brings
Queen.
Tenzin to tears.
Yeah, Tenzin gets a lot of great stuff this season.
He's like a military recruiter at a poor high school.
No, no,
Hey.
that is not the same at all.
Hey, what are you gonna do? He's like the Jedi. That worked out well.
Aang CGI face really brought me to tears. But chapter 5, the Metal Clan. So Tenzin and the rest of the air
Yeah, I think I
nomads.
wanted part of the reason why I wanted to end on this is just because like that last episode there wasn't a ton to talk about. Like we would have just been like, yeah, they fought.
Yeah, they fought, and the action's great as always in the show. Continues to get more inventive now that there's a bunch of airbenders in the mix, and
Yeah.
how that escalates this season is tons of
And I
fun
like
too.
that
But
they're finding a good balance with Boomy still being a joke, but also like actually knowing what he's doing sometimes.
yeah, I mean that was one of my favorite parts of season 2, the revelation that like, yeah, he's an idiot, but he also took out like an entire army by himself.
Yeah, he's great.
Like that
Love that guy.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, chapter 5, the Metal Clan. So Team Avatar splits off to set up the new air nomad dynasty, basically, and or temple, excuse me. Dynasty is not what we want to do here.
Yeah, no, there's not a dynasty.
While Lin, Korra, Asami, Bolin, and Mako head to Zaofu. It's a city made of metal, led by Su Yin Beifong, Lim's
Hey,
estranged half sister.
voiced by Anne Heche
Yeah,
from the remake of Psycho.
this is to make up for starring in the remake of Psycho.
Yeah, that's
No,
exactly
no,
what this is.
no.
No, I read an interview with Anne Heche and she said, I'm doing this to make up for the remake. I don't know.
She was also in Cedar Rapids, which people have told me is very good.
She was also in the film Volcano,
Oh, everyone loves Volcano.
the movie that like underperformed compared to Dante's Peak. Remember when they used to be dueling movies?
Yeah, the last one was like White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't understand how White House Down wasn't the one that got a series, but whatever.
Mm.
Oh,
Uh,
she was also in fucking the other guys.
she was in that?
Yeah. She's the board woman villain. She's only in like a scene or two,
Okay.
but she's kind of like the antagonist behind the scenes. That's a great movie.
Other Guys is a solid film.
I think that movie is so fucking hysterical. I don't know. I hear a lot of that where you're coming from. Like, yeah, it's pretty good, but like, few movies make me laugh harder. So maybe it's my low bar.
The only thing I remember about that movie is the guy trying to force, I think, Will Ferrell to have sex with his wife.
Oh yeah.
That's the only scene I really remember from it.
I would recommend you watch it again. I think it's gotten funnier over time
And
oddly more depressing.
I also remember like the big scene in it. I also remember the movie like stops to explain what a Ponzi scheme is.
Yeah, it does that a lot.
I remember it's like, wow, this guy has some points to make about our economic system.
Well, the entire credit sequence is like it's just explaining like all the economic bullshit about the film.
It's so weird. But hey, also it has isn't it John Oliver? Isn't he the
I don't.
banker in it?
No, it's Oh my God, what's his name?
I could have sworn it was John Oliver.
Steve Coogan.
Oh, it's fucking Steve Coogan, of course.
What is that?
Fucking Coogan.
What's wrong with Steve Coogan?
Nothing, but I could have sworn it was the other one.
No, sorry. Oh, and Ice-T is the narrator.
Yeah.
That's a great movie. I think everyone should watch it.
I think it was one of those movies that like they kind of mismarketed that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they tried to make it seem like it was going to be about two other characters.
Oh.
And then it made that scene land a lot better.
Oh yeah. Yes, it did.
But yeah, I think some people were. I remember people being very angry about that.
Oh my God, my theater, like, it destroyed.
I know, but I remember like after the movie, like it was
Oh,
like
I see.
everyone thought that scene was funny, but then I think people were like, they got to come back. And then what do you say, aim for the bushes or something?
Yeah, and then you look at the scene and it's like, wait a second.
That's one of the funny. That is,
There's no
that is definitely
bushes.
one of the funniest scenes ever. The music's perfect too. That's good stuff.
Team Avatar arrives in Zaofu, a metal city led by Su Yin Beifong, Lin's estranged half sister,
Half
voiced by
sister.
voiced by
Anne Heche. Everyone loves Anne Heche, right? I don't know what the public opinion of her is. Anne Heche was one of the first like celebrities that kind of had like a very public like mental breakdown, and it was like a tabloid story.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of like a dry run of like what Charlie Sheen became.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's too bad.
Well, Hollywood, I'm sure handled it with grace.
No,
Did you see
as
that
they
Britney
always do.
Spears documentary?
No.
You know what was the best thing about watching that?
Not
Was
watching
the
it.
No, was the knowledge that we'll never make that mistake ever again. I literally watch that with people who just half the time I talk to them complain about other celebrities. And it's just like, why do you care? Things are good.
But they go to this city because Su Yin's daughter and Lin's niece, Opal, is a new airbender. And Opal is
Yay.
voiced by Allison Stoner.
Who's that?
She was the little quirky daughter in the Cheaper by the Dozen movies with Steve Martin.
Oh yeah, I saw that movie. It was the first movie I ever hated.
No, it's not good. It's not good. I'm not.
Yeah, no
There's
offense to
no
her.
nostalgia here for those
Yeah,
remakes.
that is the movie where like when I put down like my flag, I'm like, what was the first movie you saw in theaters that you didn't like? It was Cheaper by the Dozen. It's like, how could Steve Martin betray me? I'm like 11. Oh no, I
Yeah.
was 10. 10 years old. I was betrayed by Steve Martin.
But yeah, so she's kind of, I think she's like the same age as us, actually.
That's sad.
Yeah.
You know what moment really hurt in this?
Just me saying that?
No, when they go to throw John Heater out of the basement that he's living in.
Oh.
And she's like, he's 22, he's still figuring his life out, and that's like supposed to be sad.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, ha 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 ha. Good joke, guys.
Well, things are bad.
We got to talk about how fucking perfect it is that Lynn I mean that fucking Toph had two children from different fathers.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I expect to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, because kind of think about it. She's someone whose whole like personality at a very young age didn't want to be like held down or restricted by like cultural norms and like, in one capacity, like what's more normal than like the nuclear family? Why would she want that?
Yeah, why would she even think of participating in that?
Yeah. I'm quite frankly just a little shocked that she only had two kids.
Well, we don't know.
I guess not. Yeah.
The fact that Lynn does not bring up her half sister at all for 2 seasons, and then we just like even like to the point where like we're landing in the city that her sister built, and she's not even thinking of like she's like, I think I can still get through this without them making this connection. It's like there's probably like a dozen other Beifongs out there.
Well, I mean, Su Yin may have taken after Toph then because she has like 8 kids or whatever, right? She's got the twins,
Yeah.
she's got Opal, she's got the art one, and then she's got the studious one.
You got the one that's like very focused, like very driven, I think you could say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The one, gonna be great in like a leadership role someday. Real girl boss
Batar, excuse
energy.
me, Batar Jr.
Yeah.
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 Batar, just
I
might
think
want
it,
to remember that name for a little bit.
I think it's gonna go well. I see great things in the future.
Yeah, that's not gonna come back to bite you in the ass. But no, it's this great other like family unit we're introduced to.
Mhm.
And I keep praising the show for like being able to balance characters, but we're introduced to like 8 characters and I never lose track of anyone. I'm never
Yeah.
overwhelmed. Like that's nuts.
Well, they're all
I
very defined.
mhm. Oh, and then
Um,
Opal and Bolin like immediately start hitting it off too. Love is in
yeah,
the air this season from an early stage.
yeah, and good for Bolin, I guess. Although Opal seems like the exact opposite of his previous girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, because now he has more confidence in who he is as a person.
I guess, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we all change once we know what we want in life, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just it's so it is funny to see that Lynn and Sue are just like the two sides of Toph. Like it's just I don't know that dynamic's a lot of fun. And Lynn's a real jerk this episode.
Oh, yeah, she's a real pain in the ass. But I also just like that we get more from that character this season too, because like she didn't really
Yeah.
have a lot to do in the second season.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Uh,
She like a lot of that seemed to be a problem with season two is they didn't know what to do with the overabundance of characters they had.
mhm.
So yeah, it's good to see her get her own little story here that also weaves into the narrative pretty well.
Yeah, this season, like I think this is why we had a disagreement about how to approach about like this book in particular, because I think the first 4 episodes and the following 4 episodes are very well defined in how they structured like the narrative, right? It's very
Yeah.
clearly like act 1 and then act 2 and act 3 with like the bundles of episodes, you know?
Mhm.
Like it's I don't know, structure is just like such an important component to television, and I
Yeah.
feel like so many shows have lost it
It's so weird
completely.
that it's such a writer's medium and like there's so many badly structured shows out there.
I know.
And you think at this point they like the shows would all just accidentally be good.
Or at least have like some sense of structure, but no,
Yeah.
no, it's still pretty rare.
We also meet the character is it Ai Wei? Is that how you say it?
Highway, yeah.
Yeah, Ai Wei, voiced by the great Maurice LaMarche. And we're just a whole new style of bending called truth seeing or whatever it was. She's a truth seer, is what they say, right?
Yeah.
And he can literally sense the heartbeats or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the things that Toph like introduced basically,
Yeah.
because she can
Oh
only
yeah, she
sense
did that.
people. Hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean,
He just
again, we have this
refined it.
thing
He
where
was a
like,
weirder guy about it.
yeah, but again, we have that this idea that like that the children of the great generation, quote unquote, like have so much to live up to that it could like make or break their like relationships with other people.
Are they all boomers?
Kind of, I
They're
think.
kind of some boomers.
Yeah.
These a lot of these characters on Korra are like boomers if they actually had introspection.
Yeah. Yeah. Like every once in a while you get like a baby boomer who is like thinking about
Yeah.
the state of things and their actions. And it's thankfully less rare in this show. the baby boomers. But anyways, I just wanted to say that Suyin clearly like flourished where Lin did not flourish.
Yeah.
And she is a bitter Batman woman.
Well, is it that Lin didn't flourish, or that they have completely different goals in what they want in life? I think Lin's definitely upset about the fact that she's kind of alone in the world.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess that's a better way of putting it.
I think that definitely bothers her, but it also seems like she's someone who's like, I stuck to the rules. This is how I want to be that person. And she's annoyed that her sister's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And also there's just, and you know, it's that thing of like when you're siblings, and this is why Thanksgiving dinners are so awkward. Because, you know, especially with siblings, you remember your siblings when they were at their absolute dumbest. And so whenever they try to talk with any authority, you just remember those dumb moments. And it's just that weird, like, she clearly disagrees. And like, Sue never got her comeuppance that Lin thought she would get, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to make clear that, like, when I say flourish, I don't mean like because Lin doesn't have a family or anything like that, because that's not, you know, like you said, that's not that character's like goal in life. They're happy with where they are, but they might not be happy with who they are, and that's a separate issue than the nuclear family aspect, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. There's unresolved shit there that we'll get into next time. But a couple more.
Each other of breaking the family apart. That's pretty harsh.
that's pretty rough.
But guess who shows up? Varric. So Suyin's harbinger a fucking fugitive.
You know.
But he was never convicted. That's what he says.
That's also true, but you know.
Doesn't look great.
War profiteering.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that's why Zhaofu is such like a I don't know. I don't have words anymore, but like it's such an interesting city in this world because it's almost like a place where characters go to like rebuild who they are. You know? And so Varric's kind of just like rebuilding himself in a way, but maybe not really, not as much introspection.
It's also just showing like the shift in just the culture between like when we just went from Ba Sing Se, which used to be the great city, to now this is the great city.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shit. It's just it thinks about a lot of these things on a more overtly political level than Last Airbender did. Not to say Last Airbender didn't think about it, but it's just a lot more front and center here.
It's front and center, but it's also it's got a more modern view of politics. Well, not so much modern already, I guess.
It's kind of like the jump Sergio Leone made when he made Good, the Bad, and the Ugly to Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah, that's exactly like it.
That's
not even a joke. That's I think that is actually like a pretty apt comparison.
Yeah, because like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a very political film, but that's not like, it's not overtly about that. Like, you know, it has a lot to say about war and justice and honor and shit. And then Once Upon a Time in the West is literally like a fight over land rights as related to where a railroad will go.
Yeah, and I mean, like, The Last Airbender did have like pointed political commentary, but the overall story and the arcs are like much more simple on like a broad scale. They're way simpler
about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
I was just making it obvious.
It does. It fits. Can't even get mad. But Legend of Korra, it starts contextualizing things in a world that's evolving, and that makes things much more difficult for everyone. And it's a much more personal show in a way, I would argue. You know, it's much more introspective.
Yeah,
because it kind of has to be.
Well, I always say like there's two sides. I think I've made this comparison before, so if I have, just like, I don't know, hit me or something. But there's a lot of similarities between the Avatar and Korra are very similar to the jump from the first Babe movie to Babe Pig in the City.
I don't know if you brought it up here, but we've definitely brought up Babe Pig in the City.
Yeah, well, because it's just like the first Babe is, a very simple story about like finding your place in the world and who you are and all that stuff. It's a very like classic, character journey, especially kids' films. And then Babe Pig in the City is like, all right, you figured out who you are and what you want. Now you got to live in the world, asshole. That's kind of the jump between Last Airbender and Korra.
I mean, like looking back at the beginning of Korra, it's like she felt comfortable with who she was supposed to be according to the world, but then she doesn't know who she is supposed to be for herself,
Exactly.
And like another show that I watched recently, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
Hey.
Yeah, which is terrific.
Yes.
By the end, that show has to like kind of reprioritize its central character and ask like, okay, like let's say we do win. What do you want after that? Is this enough for you? Probably not. Just something to think about. Also, Soul, the Pixar film, kind of addresses something similar.
Movie.
You didn't like Soul?
I hated Soul.
Okay, I wasn't in love with it, but I was
on board with Soul until the twist happened in it.
You're gonna have to be more specific. Like at the
cat,
end?
With the cat.
Oh, okay.
I was like, fuck this. It was like doing so well, and they fucked it all up.
Well, I like the ending. I wasn't in love with it either, honestly. But it's just something I thought about watching. On the other side of the world, Zahir and his crew escape. No, whoops.
That already happened. Everyone already escaped, but Zahir has integrated into the airbenders that have arrived in Republic City.
Yeah, so we got to save Tenzin.
It's like, oh, I just woke up one day and I could do airbending. Didn't bother to change his clothes though.
Yeah.
So like when all the airbenders are standing there, they're like all in airbender robes, and then there's him who looks like he just fell out of a ditch. Like it makes sense because like he had like the long hair in the opening, so like all right, so he shaved, so they don't recognize what he looks like. Blah blah blah. That's all right, but it's honestly really good because he's very kind in a way, like he's being very nice. He's like, oh, I just showed up, and like and it makes him creepier and more intimidating when he's like not being overtly evil.
There is a genuine like sense of peril when Kaya catches him in that room.
Yeah,
and they have like a pretty quick showdown.
Good fight.
Yeah. But it like there's a real sense of danger around that character. I wonder if it will pay off.
It won't.
It might. No, we'll see. I don't want to drag any of this, but yeah, there's stuff that happens. But like no, he's a genuinely scary villain, and we'll have to talk more about him next time.
He gets away, and just so this doesn't end on such a happy note as the villain getting away, this episode ends with Lynn yelling at Opal.
Oh, yeah. It's a kind of a downer.
Yeah, that's a fucking real downer.
I think Korra does call her out, though, too, right?
Like, yeah, Korra gets, like, real mean. She's like, that's why you're alone. That's what she basically says.
And it's like, she's not wrong.
Yeah, not totally wrong. It's just, it's one of those things where, if you're ever having a fight with someone and there's that moment where you're like, am I gonna actually get mean right now? Like, and you have to kind of decide in that moment, like, am I gonna cross this line? Because if I cross this line, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
And Korra kind of doesn't take that pause all the time.
And like we've been talking about the similarities between Tenzin and Korra, but I think Korra and Lynn are also similar in ways that they haven't really realized yet. And it's not to the same capacity as Tenzin and Korra, but I think the answering with fists over words might be a point of comparison between them. There's a bitterness, I think, with Lynn that's not really there in Korra yet, but I think in a way that's like kind of almost who she can become if she hadn't found like this found family, you know?
What a great episode.
Yeah.
Ends on a
Next
downer.
time, yeah, it does end on a downer. But next time we'll be talking about Chapter 6, Old Wounds, Original Airbenders, The Terror Within, and The Stakeout. Yeah. It's 4
Yeah.
episodes because you did
Everything's
5 today.
great. Yep.
Everything is great.
I keep saying that because like if I look away from the recording for like and my notes for 2 seconds and look at anything else going on in the world, it's very much not great.
But hey, we have this podcast and we have this show, and it will not answer any of life's problems, but it does entertain me and make me happy. So
Yeah. And I'm
that's what I
sure
got
that
right now.
things will in this country will not get worse than they are on March 2nd, 2021, the day the governor of Texas decides to lift all social distancing mandates.
Well, Matt, until then, where can the people find you?
I'm still hiding in my house, so you can find me at EmperorOTN1 at twitter.com or EmperorOTN on Twitch.
And you can find me at the Diego Crespo, and check out the Waffle Press on Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon, where you can get early access to book 4 probably by the point this is released to the public.
Hey.
Yeah, the final book, Legend of Korra, and definitely the rest of this book, book 3, Change, where you'll hear about all of our other
You can hear all our tangents
things.
that we go on that have
Yeah.
nothing to do
Oh
with the
yeah. This is
episode.
like a 2.5-hour episode for the Patreon listeners. You're welcome.
Yeah, you ever want to hear us ramble about things we don't totally understand? The Patreon's for you.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. We have been professionally unprofessional.